Were the events that occurred in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021 an act of insurrection or an act of patriotism?
We need to hold the doors of the Capitol.
It was very blatantly an attempt by the former, now current president to incite violence amongst his followers, his almost cult-like followers.
The way that they were targeting people who did not benefit their views, but were trying to benefit the people, that marks it clearly as an insurrection.
Patriotism, I believe, has been, inflated in this country to an extent. And the idea that you need to do something big and bold to show your commitment is not necessary.
And if any other group, any other protests did this, and it wasn't Trump supporters, then what would the media say about that? Will we still be having this conversation whether or not this was peaceful?
Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
They were peaceful people. These were great people. The crowd was unbelievable. And I mentioned the word love. The love in the air. I've never seen anything like it.
What is the single most important issue that you evaluate to decide who you'll vote for in a presidential election, and why?
The single most important issue that helps me decide is immigration, because my parents are immigrants and they've moved here, and that part of their success as immigrants and finding jobs, I'm the reason where I am today.
The backbone of America that's making this thing go, how do you look at them? How do you treat people? These are all the things that a leader is supposed to embody.
You cannot have social justice without having economic justice. They go hand in hand.
Economy is the most powerful tool Capitol Hill has to affect the American public. I think, especially when we think about marginalized groups, we can look all throughout history and see examples of when the government used the U.S. dollar to hurt people.
Has the current political climate in the U.S. affected your relationships with others? If it hasn't, please explain why you believe it hasn't.
I grew up in a rural part of Georgia, and all of my family is Republican, either like middle or farther to the right. And I respect them and love them a lot, so it's been really difficult, especially with recent political climate changes.
So I would say no, but on a similar vein, there is an issue with certain people, certain family members and stuff, who are more apolitical.
I found out my brother voted for someone that we did not appreciate and did not resonate with at all, just because that president had a better economic policy than the other presidential candidate. And I remember that having a lot of strain on our relationship.
It really comes down to what relationship the person has to me and whether or not I really want to have that kind of political discussion in such a incendiary, with such a climate that has so much incendiary rhetoric from both sides.
Many people get news from social media apps. Do you believe that what you see on these apps is fact-based news and information you can trust? Do you watch, read, or follow any American mainstream news sources?
I do have certain news sources like AP News that I follow and keep up with, which I think is a better alternative than getting my news from social media, because I can say what I want about censorship and stuff, but social media as a social platform, I just think it's too unreliable to find news that is objective and free from bias and opinion.
All of these sources conglomerate together and provide a stream of information. And again, like I mentioned earlier, it's up to you to be the one to navigate this stream and figure out what's factual and what's not.
I'll see it oftentimes over and over again on different sites, and usually the information is the same, but I'll always scroll down to the comments, because usually people who were actually there or had seen something or heard something on site comment, and then I'm like, okay, so this is, two perspectives here, what the media's covering and then what people are actually saying.
People's healthcare coverage is getting cut, and thousands of undocumented or even some documented immigrants are being sent to El Salvador. So I think it's important to prioritize those reputable sources and to fact check. Like, make sure you're not being lied to. Bullshit's everywhere, and if you're only relying on one person, that's when you're going to run into problems. That's why fascism, it happens when you have consolidated voices.
When you consider your own future, what kind of America would you like to see? How could the American government help you achieve your goals or plans for your life?
I would say I'd really like to see an America that cares more about all of its people rather than just some of them.
More tolerance and openness to other cultures. I know America claims to be a melting pot, but I feel there is still a subtle and an implicit superiority complex.
Improvements into programs that help the poor, the needy, and disabled to help cut down poverty and food insecurity. Universal health care.
I imagine in America where we're not pushing for legislation that attacks, eradicates, and oppresses other people. Like, I imagine in America where our politicians serve the interests of the public instead of like corporations in the private sector.
A country wherein we can disagree on certain issues, and we can disagree because disagreement's good, a dialogue is healthy.
I want to see an America where people's rights are respected and where people are allowed to aim for their goals, to try to see the success they want to see, to really achieve that American dream that's been promised to us for hundreds of years.
To hold space where we are not shaming each other, condemning each other for anything, and that we are allowing each other to, help each other, I think.
I want the future of America to be about we the people, not a policy, not which party is better, not whether you believe in this or that. How, as a people, can we change and unite the world?